to the OC Politics Show, keeping politics bipartisan, local, and on the level.
Welcome to the OC Politics Show, and this is Todd DeVoe with Joe Matthews, and today we're saying goodbye to RBG, and how will Trump handle this political dilemma? You know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, and sounds like Trump may try to replace her before the election. So will we have more and bigger protests in the street? Joe, what do you know about Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
I know a lot, but I feel like we're going to get to know her a lot more as the days go by and the news stories come in. You know, RBG was nominated by President Clinton on June 14th, 1993, and served since August 9th, 1993, until her death just last week. As a judge, Ginsburg was considered part of the Supreme Court's moderate liberal bloc, presenting a strong voice in favor of gender equality, the rights of workers, and the separation of church and state.
Man, so she is truly one of those. I mean, most people don't know who the 9 justices are, right? I mean, there's a couple here and there that you might hear about and some we learn in the history class or whatever, but you know, they're not rock stars by any means, you know. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG, she seemed to have like a cult following.
Well, yeah, she, with her work with women's rights, she had every woman on her side. If you look at, I pulled something up here from the internet. Let's see here. Keep talking, Todd. I'll pull it up for a second.
Yeah, I find the Supreme Court in general just a very interesting body. You know, it's the kind of, sometimes it's not supposed to be a legislative body, right? It's supposed to take a look at what's going on with the between the conflict between states and the federal government, between rules in the Constitution, between laws in the Constitution. You know, so it's a really interesting body, and there's actually a good book if you guys ever are interested in it, in the Supreme Court. It's called The 9. Inside the Secret World of the Supreme Court by Jeffrey Tobin. A really in-depth book on the Supreme Court. I highly recommend it. I'll let you guys see it right here. Let's see, there you go. The 9 right there. And so anyway, so this is, I've always been fascinated with the Supreme Court. Constitutional law is one of my favorite subjects to discuss, especially as a policy guy. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG, she has made such an impact on the court since she was put in by Clinton. And you're right. I mean, I think that she does have a lot of the majority of the women in the United States for sure they're her hero.
I found it. It says, women, if you have a credit card in your own name and your own credit history, if you have leased an apartment or bought property in your name, if you have consented to your own medical treatment, if you played a sport at school, you can thank Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, that's a lot of ground to cover. When you think about women in general and the rights that they have now as opposed to 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
50 years ago. But interesting that you talk about the credit card thing, because I mean that happened in 1971. That was way before she got on the court. However, you know, the whole thing is the Fair Credit Act 1970. It went through 1970, 1971. But Ginsburg did argue in front of the Supreme Court multiple times on these issues. So it wasn't the work necessarily that she did as a justice that got her, that got these things done through her work through the ACLU and some other organizations that she argued in front of the Supreme Court for. Just think about this, right? This woman, right, as tiny as she was, right, was super mighty and such an orator that she argued in front of the Supreme Court when it wasn't really known to be a place for women to argue for the Supreme Court. So she was groundbreaking there just alone.
Yeah. Just making an appearance.
Oh, she did more than an appearance. I mean, go
You know
ahead.
what I found an interesting case was the Air Force second lieutenant who found out that everybody else was getting a housing credit for their spouse, and they weren't getting this housing credit because she was a woman and he was a man, and that was a man's prerogative. And the only way you were going to have to change it was get a lawsuit. So she sued them, and now the military had to give dependents their due, their share. You know, you're a military guy. You
Yeah.
know, you get a housing allowance. You know, and that was revolutionary back then. And that was back in 1972.
Yeah, it's amazing because if you think about it, there's when you take a look at the spouse, right, the dependent, we always think of the female dependent, right? We never think about the male dependents, meaning the husbands of the military members. And it's a funny story, side story on this. I have a friend of mine. She's a veteran, and they'll ask her, "Oh, what branch of service was your husband in?" And her husband's like, I never served. That's her. She's the vet, you know." But they always assume that's the guy,
Yeah.
you know.
You know, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg was very smart and shrewd about positioning herself as with that women's rights movement, because she even took on a man's right to have the same equal access to a federal benefit such as Social Security. Once his wife died, you know, he did not get the same death benefit that the wife would have gotten, and so she argued that as well and won in front of the Supreme Court. So she's worked both sides to prove the point that sexual politics is unequal right at the time. Well, it still is, but unequal at that time.
Yeah, and that's the thing with her is I don't think I mean, reading her opinions and whether you disagree with her politically speaking, you're reading her opinions and even her dissents are very specific, not to just females. She's not like, "Hey, I'm only here for females." It's to the way the Constitution is and the way the laws specifically reflect on that. It's very brilliant. I mean, you have to read her stuff. I mean, she was a brilliant. Not only was she a brilliant orator, she was a brilliant writer. I mean, she's just a brilliant person. So much so, it's kind of interesting that the one of the most right leaning court members, and her being one of the most left leaning court members, Scalia, they were best friends,
Yeah,
family
they
friends.
vacationed together. They
They did
vacationed
everything.
together.
Yeah. The kids thought of her as like an aunt or whatever. If you think about it, I mean, Scalia's son was just talking about her the other day, and you can see that he was choked up about her death, and the fact that the love that those families had for each other. It's an amazing, you know.
They rode an elephant together in India.
I didn't know that.
It's just all these unique facts will be coming through. Yeah.
No, but you know, I mean, that just shows that right there. I mean, that just shows that we are in a nation right now that's divided. I mean, hugely divided. I mean, 47% on either side on for the election, and there's a middle ground here. You know, 42% of the people who don't vote and don't care or whatever, just want to just check out. You know, of eligible voters. We are in a really weird situation. But if you could look at the two extremes, if you could look at Scalia, who is again just as brilliant as Ruth Bader Ginsburg was, you know, in his writings and his way of looking at things, his legal mind, if you will, and her being on the other being best friends, family friends, everybody got together and able to do this and you know, I just wish that we could be like that way as a nation. I know it's just wishful thinking because speaking of this, of course, she's not even, you know, she hasn't passed more than 24 hours and we already are into politics of this. What do you think of how the fight over Ruth Bader Ginsburg's replacement is going to likely to affect the election and even the discussion of the election here in the next few weeks?
I think it's going to be sad history. Listen, just to watch. I thought it got bad with Kavanaugh and how divisive the country got with Kavanaugh being elected. This is even worse just because of the timing of the election and the fact that it is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, even though I'm going to be grilled to watching TV like every night to see what happens, it's probably going to sicken me more than give me pleasure.
Trump has announced that he will choose a woman for the court, which is interesting because when Biden said that for the VP, he kind of bashed him for a little bit. But he announced on Saturday night that the nominee to succeed Ginsburg on the Supreme Court will be a very talented, very brilliant woman. That's what he says. That's his words.
There's 3 women: Amy Coney Barrett, Barbara Loga, and Allison Jones Rushing. And all those ladies, I almost said girls, all those ladies, all those ladies are from the Court of Appeals that were just elected, or not elected, just selected and approved in 2019. So they don't really have a lot of experience other than being women. Not that there's a problem with that. It's just,
well, I mean, okay,
it's too planned. It's too like succession planned, you know.
That's, I mean, okay, first of all, I have to disagree with you on that. I mean, by saying that, that's insulting to them, because I mean, they're all in their own right good lawyers. They've done what they've supposed to have been doing. I mean, they've gone to good schools. They have, I mean, like, they've all clerked. I mean, some of them, I don't know these people at all, except from what I'm reading on them. Joanne Larson, she was a clerk for Anthony Scalia. You know, she's done all, and then she became a judge on her own. You know, went through the system and got promoted up and got nominated to go up. You know, so not just because she's a female. Deborah Largo, she's 52 years old. She's was confirmed to the 11th Circuit Court last year. She's a Cuban American from Florida. Again, she clerked as well. She's argued multiple cases. You know, just take a look at this. You know, she you have Allison Edie. She clerked as well for Clarence Thomas. And then there's a guy who here on this list too, it's interesting. He's would be the first Indian American to sit at the court. And again, he has a pedigree too that goes far back. So it's not like they just pick some random guy who graduated from, you know, Western law, or girl who you know, graduated from Western Law School and has been, you know, went to night school to become a judge. I mean, or to become a lawyer, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, I know plenty of people who've done that, but I'm saying it's they've gone through great law schools. They have a pedigree that backs them up. So I mean, you gotta give them credit for where it's at. Now, whether they, you know, go through the nomination process, that's a whole nother process. But it's not them. You can't blame the judge, if you will, for their time on the court. But I mean, they do come qualified. These aren't, and that's the thing. And this is the interesting part about this. And I'm going to go into the process a little bit here, is that in order to be on the Supreme Court, there are realistically 2 or 3 major hurdles that they have to go over. One, obviously, is being nominated by the president, right? 2 is when he nominates them, all they have to know, all the Supreme Court is supposed to be, the Supreme Court, all the Senate is supposed to be looking at is, do they have the qualifications to sit on that seat? That's it, right? So do they have the they shouldn't. They don't. I mean, they ask these questions because it's just they make everything political. But it's not like, you know, do you like green underwear over blue underwear? Those questions have doesn't make a difference. You know, you know what I mean? Those questions that they ask in the Senate confirmation hearings they're just political daggers. Both sides do it, right? You know, so just, it is what it is. Both sides do it. But these things, it wasn't until Bork back under and with Reagan that you saw this come from the Senate. Before it was like, okay, do you qualify? Do you meet the qualification? Okay, you're not the party who I like or the side of, but this president's the guy who's in there, and yeah, that's it. You're confirmed. They take a little bit of background check on the guy and make sure he's wasn't a Soviet spy or whatever, and okay, go, there you go, you're in. Now it's everything. I mean, even the dishes that they're putting in the White House have become politicized.
Yeah, it's scary to watch, especially, well, and I think it's kind of fun to watch the Republicans and the Democrats already starting to jockey, and the body's not cold,
Right.
and it's like it's sickening in a way. There's not even a time to mourn her. They're going right to selection process. I mean, even Biden was like, I'm not going to release my list because I don't want those judges to be unfairly, harassed. In the meantime.
Which is funny because the Democrats demanded, not even just wanted, they demanded that Trump release his list.
Huh.
Yeah. The pressure that they put on the White House to release it, and he wasn't going to, and then he just went ahead and did it. And this is the stuff that right there, that type of thing kills me when it comes to politics, where you have one side or the other doing it. They both do it to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When the big thing here is Schumer lost his nut when the McConnell would not bring up I forget the guy's name right now, but would not bring up the judge that Obama put forward.
Merrick Garland.
After Scalia's death, right? And if you think about it, right, this is the same. This which is odd as heck. It's this is the opposite, right? They had a conservative judge who passes. The Democrats go, they're going to be able to put a liberal judge on here to take back the court. That was their we're taking back the court, right? And so McConnell blocked it, right? They lost their mind. And then now with a liberal judge passing, and the Republicans have a chance of putting in a conservative person, or supposedly theory, right? Never really worked out too well for the Republicans that way, but in theory, a conservative person going in there, and now Schumer's like, hey, you blocked us then, and this is the height of hypocrisy. You guys are both the biggest hypocrites. Gosh, you can't even talk this morning. You guys are both hypocrites. You guys are both hypocrites, right? Both sides are hypocrites. Both sides are crap, right? Both sides. They just irritate me. And this when you start looking at this stuff, right, the politics, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg is absolutely, she's gone less than 24 hours and the daggers are already out from both sides, slashing at each other, and it's like, and then the worst part about it is you have people, uninformed people,
and she knew this all was going to happen. That's why she tried so hard to keep herself alive. She really took care of herself because she needed to stretch it out. She needed to make it past the election, but unfortunately didn't make it. I mean, how many times we battle cancer and then boom, 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 it's over, and then she's back on the bench. She misses one day.
She didn't miss a day. I mean, she would read the cases in her, unless she was like knocked out, but she'd read the cases in her hospital bed. She's a workhorse for sure. You know what I mean? But the politics of this is just really infuriating to me. Of what's going on. I mean, I don't know.
I think it's going to be interesting. Like, what's the magic number, Todd? Do you know what the magic number is?
For the election?
Yeah, for passing this approval process in the Senate. 4.
Yeah.
4 senators need to flip. And already two, Collins and Murkowski, have already said that they don't want to have election yet. They don't want to have this approval process go through before the election. So there's a couple of people who are up for re-election, Mitch McConnell included. That I would just love for him to just lose that one, but that's probably not going to happen. But I'm just saying that leaves two renegades and to decide maybe that this doesn't happen right now.
Yeah, interesting enough, if even if they went to a 50-50 split on the floor, I mean, obviously the tie is going to be broken by the vice president, and we know which way he'll vote on that. So I mean, they don't even need to have, they don't even have to have the enough senators to vote yes. They just need to have 50-50.
Yeah. Well,
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say and again it goes down to, which is interesting, like, because the Republicans that are so you have the two Republicans that are up for election right now that have come out and said, and they're in tough seats, have come out already and said no. And then you have Mitt Romney, who doesn't want to do it. Who's the other one that doesn't want to do it? Out of the four, you said there's four.
Well, the four is the magic number, and
Gotcha.
And two have basically said, but there's certain like ones. The Cory Barker, I think from Colorado, he's on the fence. There's a couple of fence holders right now that they're going to wait to the very last moment to make that decision.
Yeah, I mean, again, here we are in, and it's politics, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it is politics, So let's put on our other hats here, our thinking hats, if you will, right? And what does this mean realistically? And I'll argue here that I know that a lot of the women's rights groups are saying, oh, if you have a conservative person come on, our right to choose, Roe v. Wade will be overturned, and a bunch of things like this. And I don't know. I mean, I suppose, but I mean, it's hard pressed to. I don't think that they're. And again, I'm just going from the readings. I'm not going from the political standpoint and from the times of most of these courts. I don't think you're going to see an overturning of a Roe v. Wade, right? I think you'll see some other things, that restrictions that people like that states have put on things, maybe not get overturned. Maybe, I mean, that's like the you know what I mean. It depends on like how restriction, how tight those things are. You might see the idea of like not spending federal monies on abortion. That might be something that might go the other way, just because it's not even a legal. The right to abortion is still there, just the right to fund for it. That's the thing that I can see them overturning, because is that really restricting the ability for somebody to have an abortion? So if you want to go the other side on a conservative thing, it'd be like gun rights, right? If you want to look at gun rights, let's say, hey, you have the right to the Second Amendment, but it doesn't mean that the federal government pays for you to go buy a gun, right? So you can see that argument. I can see how that, because right now, the Planned Parenthood is funded by federal funds, although supposedly in that means that they're not supposed to do direct abortions with that money. But whatever, how that goes. So you can see that being challenged in the court, and not sure which way that would go. But I don't think you're not going to see an overwhelming or overarching, making abortion illegal in the United States. That's not going to happen.
I think for me, it's the Affordable Care Act. On November 10th, they're going to be hearing some, pre-existing condition kind of language, and that you have insurance companies just lining up at the bit right now, waiting for that decision to be made. And I think abortion, yes, one thing, but the Affordable Care Act still is vulnerable right now in the court.
Well, again, the Affordable Care Act, which is interesting on that one too, is the Republicans or the conservatives, if you will, argued that it was a tax. Or no, not that there was that they didn't have the ability to do this, and then the Supreme Court came back and said, yeah, it's a tax, and so you can you can pass this law because it's basically a tax. So again, I don't think that part of it, the idea, does the federal government have the ability to create this? The Supreme Court already weighed in and said yes, they do. But the idea is, was it going to be a for insurance based one, like a free market insurance? So those, yeah, you're right, that is still up there. Which, I mean, not to get off on a tangent in the Affordable Care Act, but I mean that was a terrible piece of legislation that got through. It wasn't thought out. It was so rushed because that was, anyway, that's a whole other show. But yeah, I mean that needs to be revamped anyway, but I understand what you're saying.
I think it's interesting. What's that?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say how these things are going to be used in motivating the masses on either side. I think it's really fascinating, both with abortion, or the Affordable Care Act or gun rights. How the Democrats are going to say it's going to be about abortion, and we need to protect the women's right to bring the women's vote out there, and then to bring out the evangelicals for abortion, and so it's interesting.
What cracks me about that, Joe, is that both sides, again, on this political spectrum, are trying to use fear and division. Fear and division. That's what it's always about. Fear and division. It's not nothing. I've not heard. I don't know if it's even out there, or maybe it doesn't work. Maybe they've polled this and send up balloons or whatever the hell you want to call it, and it comes back saying that this doesn't work in politics. But I would love to see someday somebody come over and say, hey, this is how we're going to heal the country. This is how we're going to bring things together. And this is how we are going to, and see if that guy probably get left off the stage, though, or girl, whatever. Woman, sorry. I know women hate the term girl. I say guy all the time, and guy for me means everybody. So I have to, yeah.
Well, we're middle-aged white boys that are still learning the rules. It's a women's world.
The rules just keep changing. That's the part about it. There's no way. There's absolutely no way to know what these rules are. So they just changed. It's done.
Well, the bottom line is this is going to damage the system that's already there for a generation. It's and maybe this is going to open up the door for a third party that all this Republican Democrat bullcrap is it's sickening people that to watch this happening, that there might be a little protest vote out there coming our way.
By the way, everybody, just let you know, and I know that we try to stay neutral on this thing, but I'm going to say this right now. I am supporting the only woman running for president right now, Jo Jorgensen. Just saying that. JoJo that's who I'm voting for, and you can say what you want to say. Bring it on. I'll talk to you all day long about it. But that's how I'm going, because I'm so sick of both these political parties only caring about the party, and the death of the notorious RBG is really showing today how divided and how slimy both the Democrats and the Republicans are. They're slimy. I'm telling you, they're slimy creatures, the Democrats and the Republican parties. Not the individuals. Sure. I like individual people. I'm talking about the party politics. That's what's slimy.
It's pure political power right now. watching it go by.
It does make for interesting TV, that's for sure.
Mm.
So
I think it's funny that Ruth Bader Ginsburg called Trump a faker. Remember she got in trouble for that? Called her out and then made her apologize for this was before he was elected. She called him on it a long time ago. And now now those words were coming from her grave. I love it.
well, sir, you and I will not solve the world's problems here today. It was a great conversation to talk about, the passing of one of the most beloved figures, I suppose, for lack of a better term, in
Respect.
Yeah, definitely respected. Definitely yeah, I was gonna say respected on all fronts, but I guess there are probably people out there who can't respect their own freaking feet. So is what it is. Again, I start running down that rabbit hole, and then producer Brian's gonna come back on and get mad at me for running down the rabbit hole. So I get yelled at by him all the time for this. So Brian, come in for a second, Brian. I want to talk to you. Damn, look at that.
What up, Toto?
First of all, I love the mood lighting. It's awesome. I mean, you and I've had these conversations in the past. Do you think there's ability, obviously it's not going to happen during this election, nor with this nomination for the Supreme Court, but do you think there's ability to really break down this wall and have people see things for what they are and not on the political lens that they look through?
No.
So we're just screwed.
People are too selfish, and
I'm waiting for the next generation.
People get on a high horse, and this is the only topic they care about. And I don't think people are open-minded enough to have a conversation anymore. It's, oh, you don't believe the way I do. It's straight combatives at that point.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of friends and family members are no longer talking to each other due to politics, which I think is sad. So, but
yeah, I mean, look at you and I, Todd. We get into heated debates from time to time, but given our background in history, it is what it is. And all right, now that you're a dumbass and I suck, let's move on and handle business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes I actually enjoy the that's the sad thing is I actually enjoy the debate. I enjoy the arguments. It's like, I was about to say it's like watching football, but that's political now too. But it's the idea of mental stimulation, mental arguments and stuff like this. And you can't do that nowadays without offending everybody.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you paid attention to Twitter much over the weekend since the notorious RGB has left this earth. Abortion's just been such a hot topic on Twitter, scared that Trump is going to appoint a judge that isn't going to affect or, you know what I mean? It's crazy. And that's the one topic that they're most concerned with, let alone what this might have to do with the Second Amendment or, any other future decision the court decides.
Absolutely. It is definitely, and that's one thing I was talking to my wife about. I was saying, would the Republicans sacrifice Trump? In other words, would they sacrifice the election? Because I think I could do this for a guaranteed conservative. Well, I'll say guaranteed, but for a potential conservative court. And the reason why I say that is because if you take a look at some of the conservatives that have been put on the court in the past, they haven't really been super conservative. I mean, even Justice Roberts voted in ways that wouldn't be thinking of conservative. And Kennedy, for instance, he was thought of being super conservative, and he's a very moderate guy on the court. So, he's a swing vote a lot. So anyway, point is would they risk the potential of a Trump presidency again, and even the Senate, or losing the Senate? Would they give up both to secure a conservative, quote unquote, nominee to the court? What do you think, Joe?
I think that's I don't think they're willing to put that on the line, but that could be a casualty of war. You know,
I
yeah,
think that's
it's too soon to say. There's so many, that's what's so fascinating about this is what's going to draw people into watching their television programs to get their news, because there's so many moving parts every single day, and it's just going to sit back and watch the circus.
Hey, producer Brian, get ready for this one, because I know we didn't talk about this in pre-show, but I am going to do this. I am putting the Supreme Court nominee and the process on the watch list. Our watch list is growing.
Watch this is growing.
Yeah. Joe, you got anything else for the group?
No, I'm just I want to turn my TV back on and watch more stuff about the notorious RBG.
Awesome. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was good, except for my computer taking a dump. But other than that, everything's great.
You know what's funny about that, Joe? Over the weekend, I turned my TV off and watched some grass grow, and I think I was more mentally stimulated than half the crap on network television.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah. Same here. I tried to watch something on TV yesterday, and I just turned it off halfway through. I was like, this is so terrible. Everything's terrible. I'm sick of it. Like, look at this. I want to go fishing. All right, boys. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody today. I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. We will see you next week here on the OC Politics Show. And remember, you can follow us on your favorite podcast player. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us wherever you want to follow us. And Joe, you can follow him on Twitter, because he's awesome on Twitter and blows it up.
Okay. Facebook nerd.